Hello and welcome to myfinancesteacher.org. Today we're talking about the stock markets. And there are a couple of interesting things happening on the stock markets at the moment. Last weekend, of course, there is this G20 meeting where Trump and Xi Jinping discussed their trade war, and it looks like there is some warm-up in the relationship between US and China in terms of this trade war. That is a good sign for the stock markets. And another good sign for the stock markets is this breakout to the all-time highs on the S&P 500 that is happening at the moment. In this video, I'm going to explain to you why I think there is a good chance that this breakout is going to be a successful one, which will give us significantly higher highs over the next several weeks. So I want to start with these intermediate cycles in the S&P 500. This is a weekly chart in front of you going back to the beginning of 2016. We see that S&P 500 generally follows these intermediate cycles that usually last for about half a year. Of course, they sometimes stretch for much longer than that and sometimes quite shorter than that. But within this period of 3.5 years, all the way through early 2016 to mid-2019, we have 7 cycles. So on average, that gives us around half a year per intermediate cycle. Now with this quick recap of the intermediate cycles, I want to zoom in on the few recent ones. We see that all the way since early 2018, S&P 500 has been struggling with this level of around 2,900. Since then, S&P 500 has had a couple of attempts to break significantly above that zone, but both of those attempts generally failed, even though they did create a marginally higher high. Here in September 2018, we broke to marginally higher highs, and the same happened again in April 2019. At the moment, S&P 500 is again very close to all-time highs with an attempt to break out, and I think this time the breakout is going to be successful. The reason for that is we are in a different stage of an intermediate cycle. The last 2 times when S&P 500 tried to break consistently to all-time highs, it was already pretty late in the ongoing intermediate cycle. Here in September 2018, the cycle had already been going on for about 33 weeks. That's more than half a year already. And here in late April this year, the intermediate cycle had already been going on for 18 weeks. That's also past the midpoint of an intermediate cycle with a normal duration of around half a year. So the previous 2 attempts to go to significantly higher highs on S&P 500 happened pretty late in the respective intermediate cycles. And basically, it was almost time for the intermediate cycles to enter a declining phase. That's why those attempts did not succeed. As I mentioned, at the moment, S&P 500 is close to breaking out, and we are very early in the ongoing intermediate cycle. We're only in the 4th week of this intermediate cycle. And since generally they last for about half a year, we still have a lot of time within the advancing phase of the current intermediate cycle. For that reason, I think after a short-term pullback from this resistance at 2960, I think we are going to see S&P 500 above the level of 3,000 sometime by the end of summer, sometime in September. And one thing that might help S&P 500 to move higher at least until the end of July is expectations on the market for Fed rate cut. As we see from this chart, nobody on the market expects the interest rates to stay where they are. 80% of the market expects the rates to be about 1/4 of a percentage point lower, whereas nearly 20% of the market expects the interest rates to decline by nearly 0.5%. So I think this summer might actually turn out to be a good one for the general stock markets. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. While you're there, hit that like button, hit the notification bell as well, so that you don't miss any of these videos where I try to provide as much value as I can. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Why not follow me on Twitter? That's at myfinancesteacher without the last letter R. And good luck in your trades.